Welcome to our third session of Food for Thought. Today I want to talk to you about cocoa pressing, the cocoa butter press. I'm here with my colleague Dennis Hemelaar to explain you a little bit on what happens inside the cocoa press. Then we prepared a movie for you to show the actual pressing, and then you will see what comes out of this press. So, first of all, why do we press? We want to make chocolate, and to make chocolate, the best fat to use there is cocoa butter. Now, how do we get cocoa butter in the most efficient way? This is with a cocoa butter press. Now, how this works, I'm here with Dennis. Dennis, welcome.
Hello, thank you.
Can you please explain, what am I looking at this? Because this is not a cocoa press, right?
This is not a cocoa press, it is part, however, of the press.
Yeah. Okay.
This is what we call a press plate.
Okay.
This is a very heavy metal circle.
For sure it's heavy, because I tried to lift it up, and
yeah.
I can lift it up because but it's for sure it's a heavy piece of
we can be thankful that this is only for the lab press and not the industrial ones, because then you would definitely not be able to lift this.
So how big is the industrial one then? More
it's about
the table.
4 times this size, so yeah, the table size, give or take.
Okay.
Yeah. So what we're looking at is the press plate. So we see here a screen.
Yep.
This is called a filter screen.
Yep. Okay.
Behind it is a coarser screen.
Yeah.
Now, the cocoa liquor will be poured in from the bottom into a chamber in which two of these are on opposite sides.
Okay, so on both sides of the chamber you have those press plates.
Exactly, exactly. In these plates on the back we have holes.
Yep.
So these holes were designed to let the butter go through, and the screens are supposed to stop the cocoa particles.
Okay.
So we press with a lot of pressure, almost 1,000 bars inside of these 2 plates.
Yeah.
To press the butter out and leave the cocoa particles in.
So you make a separation between the solids
and the
fat.
Correct. So the particles that remain inside is called the cocoa cake, the press cake. Yeah. And what's outside is of course the cocoa butter.
Okay.
Now,
because I know cocoa powder has a fat content of most of the time 10-12%.
Correct.
Which means you do not get all the butter out.
No, correct. You do not get everything out. It's also because when the press cake is formed, you close in all the remainder fat. Okay. So you have a certain limit for the fat to get out.
Yeah, okay.
So some will remain inside, that's correct.
Okay.
You do not get everything out, but for the cocoa industry, the 10-12% for cocoa powder is a pretty standard.
In the industry standard.
Yeah. It's not something to worry about at this stage yet, since we don't know that anyone wants lower fat amounts.
So let me get this straight. So we got a press chamber. On both sides we have those screens.
Yes, correct.
We press with 500 bars. We have 1,000 bars in the middle.
1,000 bars in the middle, yeah.
The butter comes out during the pressing?
Yes, and the press cake remains inside.
Inside.
Until we open up the press. So we take the pressure back off again, then it opens up, and then the press cake falls out. Okay. And then we have a complete separation of both.
And then we have the cocoa butter and the press cake. Okay, no, well that's really interesting. This is an inside view, I think, of what happens in the cocoa press, inside the cocoa press.
Correct. And later we'll see how it works in real life.
So now we prepared a movie for you for a pressing with the lab press. So this size of press, and then we start a movie. When we come back, we'll show you what comes out of it. Okay.
Yep.
Now we are here in the pilot plant where we have the lab press, where we will show you a lab pressing. First, what we saw upstairs is this press plate and filter screen, just to show you how this is being built up. So we have the press plate with the holes in it where the cocoa butter comes through. There's a back screen for sturdiness, there's a fine screen for the particles, and there's a felt cord around it for the closing up within the press pot. So now we go to the cocoa press, where Dennis has prepared the cocoa liquor. The press is at 100 degrees, 105 degrees Celsius. We warm it up with steam. And then the cocoa liquor goes into the press pot. We fill it in this case from the top because we have a lap press. But you can imagine on both sides of those pressing chamber, that's where you have the cocoa liquor, which is now floating in. So in the industry, you will press it from the bottom. There's a liquor beam. In here, we have a small press with 3 press pots where we can press per pot if we want. In this case, for a trial for our colleagues for Dresden. So that's one part. Now we're going to close up, because if you can imagine, if the pressure goes on, then we need to close it up. So now the cocoa liquor is locked in between the press plates. The felt cords around the press plates keep the liquor inside the chamber. And this is the moment where we start pressing.
Yes,
yes,
can I start?
Please start it up. So now you see from the hydraulic unit in the back, this is where the hydraulic oil is pumped into this chamber, and this is the main housing, the ram housing. So this is where the piston will leave and pushes all the package with the pots and the counterpots together. Now you can imagine there's cocoa liquor in here, the pressure goes on, is being put on, and then slowly the butter will come out and the press cake is being formed. The thing with cocoa pressing, the interesting part is that you have those press chamber where the size is getting smaller and smaller to be able to press, but at the same time also the whole package is moved in this direction. So it's a balancing between this movement and this movement at the same time. And that's the trick of cocoa pressing. So then after a while we will see that the pressure is being built up. So the cocoa particles initially will come out with the cocoa butter, but then when they start building up bridges inside this press chamber, then the cake is being built up and the butter is flowing between the particles out of the press. So if you can come on this side later on, you will see that the butter comes out. First of all, we have a bit of a cloudy butter, because the first part of pressing is where cocoa particles will go through the screen. Cocoa particles typically have a fineness of about 10-15 micron, small enough to pass even the fine screen. But then after a while, then the pressure is being built up, the particles will block the screen. They form bridges over the screen, and that's where the cocoa cake starts to be built up. So then here at the bottom you can see those two injections. This is where the cocoa butter will come out in, well, we're still at 12 a little bit time, but the first butter coming out will be a bit cloudy. That's also why in the process you have to filter your cocoa butter always to get rid of those particles which will come by nature out of the system. And then over time, 10-15 seconds, then the butter becomes clear, and then you have a clear cocoa butter ready to use in your chocolate. Yep, here it comes. Yeah. So that's, and you see this is still a cloudy brown color. The other one starts as well now. So on both sides of the chamber, cocoa butter is coming out of the bucket. And then you see already on the right hand side, the butter is clearing up a little bit. It's becoming lighter and lighter, so that cocoa particles are blocked by the screen. The butter becomes clearer and clearer. The side now also that starts to become much more clearer than the initial. 10-15 seconds for the butter to clear up. You see on the right hand side it's completely clear. So for those first 10-15 seconds, this is what the butter filter for. And now it takes time. So first we have out. Later on the pressure will be built up around 150-170 bars. That's when the system changes to bars per minute. So the system calculates that I need to have 100 bar per minute. It's being built up to 450, 470 bars in this case. In the industry you can go up to 500 bars. This is also something we can follow on a trend. So if we move here, so this is the pressing. You see at the moment it's low pressing. The pressure is being built up. And then after a while you will hear the motor changing gears, and then it changes to the bar per minute, which is also something you can see on the trend. It's very, very thin line in this case. If you are live here with me, you can see it, but you can see the pressure going up. And with those curves, it allows us to identify how the pressure is working, and also with the models we have, we can tell you, okay, your cocoa liquor, for example, has too much moisture, the fineness is not good, or the screens have been worn out, you need to replace your screens. All those information can come from those curves. We go back to the process, where you can see we're now at about 200 bars. Cocoa butter is still coming out, it's quite clear now. And now you hear it gearing up, so now the high pressure motor goes on, and this is where we will have about 100 bar per minute in increase of pressure. And this will take time, a little bit of time, but no. So we're about to finish the pressing. We're at the end of the pressing. So this is now where we have collected all the cocoa butter from this pressing. This we will use after filtering, of course, in chocolate. And then when we stop the press will open up. And when opening up, you will see in a few minutes that the press cake will appear. So now it's stopped the pressing cycle, and now it's opening up. So all the hydraulic oil is pushing the piston back into the ram housing, and by pulling it back, all those pots and counterpots are pushed to this side. And then after a while, you will see an opening appearing here, and this is so when the press cake remains in the same place, the chamber moves over the press cake, and then the press cake will fall out. It takes a little bit of time because we need time for the oil to go back in. It's squeaking and cracking, which is normal. So here now you see on this side, so this is the one side of the press plate in the chamber. So this is the press plate you saw upstairs. And then on the inside of the press chamber, this is where the cocoa cake comes out. The outside is still a bit wet, so the fat remains a little bit on the outside, but it will homogenize over the whole cake. So here you see it coming out. And then with a big bang it will be released. And now we have our press cake. So, and then, so for the next pressing, the press is closed again and it can be filled up again with cocoa liquor for whatever trial we do here. So let's get the cake up. So welcome back. I think you've seen the movie now where we do a pressing. Of course this takes a long time, that's why we made this movie. But the press cake came out and well, this is where we are. Dennis, come in with the press cake. It's
Hello
still
again.
hot. It's still hot, but
very hot. Yes, I will push this to the side a little bit and get this next to it. So
these are now the solids remaining.
The solids remaining, yeah.
On the
correct.
inside of the press, it falls out. It's cracked because it's full, I think.
Yeah. So officially, this is like this, and then another press plate would be on the top.
Oh, okay.
Well, it would stand up straight. And this is approximately 10 to 12% fat remaining inside of the cocoa.
It's really hard.
Correct.
So this 500 bars pressure is actually making it like a rock almost.
It's almost like a brick. It's almost impossible to break by hand. Of course, this has already broken it too, so it would be easier. But officially, when the whole cake comes out, it's almost impossible for you to crack it with your hands.
Okay.
So after this step, we would need a breaker to break it up into smaller pieces. And when we want to have a powder, we go to a powder mill.
Okay, and that's interesting because this will be our next session where we will look at breaking the cake into kibbled cake and then making it into cocoa powder and with a focus on the cocoa powder stabilization. So, see you then for the next time. Thank you, Dennis.
No problem.
Bye-bye.
Bye.